Hmm, there you are. Come on now. Settle in. Pull that blanket just a little higher. Yes. Just like that. Let your head sink into the pillow. Let your arms go heavy. Good. Grandpa is right here. Not going anywhere. Tonight I want to tell you a story. A very old story. A very warm story. It begins in a small town, in a small kitchen, with a very small baby who would not stop crying. And it ends with something that touched nearly every corner of this world. But we are not in a hurry. We are going to take this very slowly tonight. The way a river moves in autumn. Unhurried. Quiet. Just flowing. So breathe in slowly. And let it go. Good. Let Grandpa take care of the rest. A long, long time ago, in a part of the world where the mountains were tall and the lakes were very still and the air smelled of pine and cold water, there was a town called Vevey. Vevey sat beside a great blue lake in Switzerland. And Switzerland, in those days, was a place of watchmakers and farmers and people who believed deeply in doing things carefully. In doing things well. The people there were not loud about their ambitions. They were quiet about them. They tucked their dreams inside their work the way you tuck a letter inside an envelope. Carefully. Neatly. With the flap sealed tight. And in this town, beside this lake, in the middle of the 19th century, there lived a man named Henri. Henri Nestle. Now Henri was not a grand person when this story begins. He was not wealthy. He was not famous. He was a chemist. A quiet, methodical, endlessly curious man who spent his days in a small laboratory, mixing things together, watching what happened, writing down what he noticed. He loved that work the way some people love gardening. The patience of it. The slowness of it. The way a small change in one thing could change everything else entirely. He had come to Vevey as a young man and decided to stay. There was something about that lake, he said, that made him feel like thinking clearly. And Henri needed to think clearly. Because he had a problem he wanted to solve. Not for money. Not for fame. For something much quieter than that. You see, in those days, many babies did not survive their first year of life. This is a sad thing to say, and Grandpa says it gently. But it is the truth of that time. Mothers who could not feed their babies, for all manner of reasons, had very little to turn to. There was no safe substitute. There was no reliable alternative. And so babies went hungry. And some of them did not make it through. Henri knew this. He saw it around him. And something in him, that quiet something that lives in a person who truly cares, said, "What if there is an answer? What if I can find it?" He began to experiment. Slowly, patiently, the way he always did everything. He worked with milk and wheat flour and sugar. He was trying to find a combination that a tiny stomach could accept, that would nourish a baby the way a mother's milk would. It took a long time. There were many attempts that did not work. Many mornings in that small laboratory where the answer seemed just out of reach. But Henri was not the kind of man who gave up easily. He was the kind of man who made a cup of something warm and sat back down. And tried again. And then one day, quietly, without any fanfare at all, it worked. He had created something. A small, dry mixture of milk and grain that could be dissolved in water and fed to a baby who could not take anything else. He called it farine lactée. Milk flour. It was not a glamorous name. It did not sound like the beginning of something that would one day be known in nearly every country on earth. It just sounded like what it was. A quiet, careful, deeply human solution to a problem that had been causing grief for a very long time. And then something happened that Henri had not planned for. A baby in the town was dying. A tiny premature child who could not keep anything down. Whose mother was unwell and could not feed him. Whose doctor had tried everything and was beginning to lose hope. And someone said, "There is a man. Henri Nestle. He has been working on something." And Henri brought his little mixture to that baby. And the baby drank it. And kept it down. And the next day drank a little more. And slowly, day by day, in the way that only life knows how to do, that baby grew stronger. That baby survived. And in that small town, beside that still blue lake, word began to travel. Quietly at first. The way all the most important things begin. Let your breathing slow a little now. Feel the weight of yourself sinking gently downward. Your shoulders. Your arms. Your hands. Let them all go heavy. Grandpa is still here. The story is still going. You just breathe. Word of mouth, you know, is the oldest and most powerful thing in the world. Not advertisements. Not grand announcements. Just one person quietly telling another person something true. My child was struggling, and then I tried this, and my child as well. That is all it takes. That is all it has ever taken. Doctors began to write to Henri from other towns, from other countries. Letters arrived from places he had never been, from people he had never met, asking for his mixture. Asking him to please, if he could, send more. And Henri, in his quiet, methodical way, began to produce more. He was not a businessman by nature. He was a scientist, a thinker, a person who found joy in solving problems rather than in selling solutions. But he understood, slowly, that if this thing was going to help the people who needed it, it needed to be available. It needed to exist in the world in a real and reliable way. And so he began, carefully, the way he did everything. Now here is something Grandpa finds very beautiful about this story. The name Nestle in German has a meaning. It means something like to nest, to settle in, to make a home. And Henri used his own name, his family name, as the name for what he had created. He also drew a little picture to go with it. A nest with a mother bird and her babies. A mother feeding her young. Could there be a more honest symbol for what he had spent his life trying to do? He was not trying to build an empire. He was trying to help mothers feed their babies. That was the whole of it. That was the seed. And from that one small seed, planted with such quiet and genuine intention, something very large eventually grew. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Let Grandpa take you back to that lake, to that small laboratory, to that careful, unhurried man. I want you to understand who Henri Nestle was as a person, because I think it matters. He was born in Frankfurt, in Germany, in a family with many children. He was one of many brothers and sisters, and the family was not wealthy. From a young age he understood that life required effort, patience, a willingness to work steadily at something even when results were slow to come. He trained as a chemist, which in those days required a particular kind of mind. Not a flashy mind. Not an impatient mind. A mind that could hold a question for a very long time without needing it to resolve too quickly. A mind that trusted the process. He moved to Vevey as a young man and spent years working on various small inventions. He made a better kind of gas lamp. He worked on fertilizers for farmers. He was always tinkering, always curious, always asking, what if we tried it this way? He was not famous. He was not celebrated. He was just a man in a small town doing careful work. And sometimes, in life, that is exactly the right person in exactly the right place. Doing the right kind of quiet, patient work. At exactly the right time. Your eyes are heavy now, I think. That soft, slow heaviness that comes when sleep is very close. Let it come. Do not push it away. Just listen to Grandpa's voice and let everything else drift. The thoughts from today. the plans for tomorrow. Let them float, like leaves on that still blue lake in Switzerland. Just floating, going nowhere in particular. Peaceful. Now, Henri eventually sold his company. He was getting older and he felt that others could carry it forward better than he could. He was a scientist, not a businessman, and he knew the difference. There is wisdom in knowing that, Grandpa thinks. Knowing what you are made for and what you are not made for. Trusting others to carry forward what you have begun. He sold the company to a group of men who saw its potential. And they carried it forward. And it grew. Slowly at first. Then more quickly. And in time it merged with another company that made something else you might recognize. Chocolate. A company that had found a way to make milk chocolate. Smooth, creamy, gentle milk chocolate. Not the bitter dark kind that came before. But something softer. Something that melted on your tongue like a small kindness. And these two companies, the milk flour and the milk chocolate, came together. And something new was born. Something that over many long and patient decades would grow into a presence felt in kitchens and hospitals and little corner shops in towns whose names most people could not even pronounce. All from one man. One quiet chemist. One baby who was struggling. One small mixture of milk and flour and care. Now Grandpa wants to sit with you for a moment. Because there is something in this story that goes beyond the history. Something that feels true to the whole shape of a human life. Henri Nestle did not start with a plan to build something enormous. He started with a problem. A real, human, heartbreaking problem. And he asked, quietly, "Can I help?" Not can I become famous. Not can I become wealthy. Just, can I help? And he worked. Slowly. Patiently. Without knowing where it would lead. And it led somewhere extraordinary. But here's the thing, and Grandpa says this very gently. Even if it had not led somewhere extraordinary, the work would have been worth it. That one baby. That one family. That one mother who did not have to grieve. That would have been enough. The rest, all of it, all the many decades that followed, all the kitchens and corners of the world it eventually reached, the rest was simply what happens when one good, genuine, patient thing is given enough time. It grows. It always grows. Not loudly. Not all at once. But steadily. The way all real things grow. You are almost there now. Grandpa can hear it in the quality of the silence around you. That particular stillness that settles when a person is nearly asleep. Let the story wash over you now. You do not have to hold on to any of it. Just let it pass through you like warm water. Soft. Easy. Going wherever it goes. I like to imagine Henri sometimes, in the evening, after his long days in the laboratory, walking down to the edge of that lake, standing in the cool air with the mountains all around him and the water very still. Maybe he felt uncertain sometimes. Maybe there were evenings when the work felt impossible and the answers felt far away. And maybe he just stood there by the water for a while, letting the stillness of it do what stillness does. Reset something. Restore something. Remind him of the size of the world and the smallness of any single worry inside it. And then he would walk home and make something warm to drink and go to sleep and wake up the next morning and go back to the work. That is the whole of it, really. That is how anything worth anything gets done. You do what you can. You rest when you need to. You go back. Again and again and again. Quietly. Without drama. With patience as your only real tool. In time, the company Henri started became one of the most recognized names on earth. The products changed and multiplied and spread into all sorts of corners of daily life. Baby food that nourished the smallest and most fragile among us. Chocolate that became a small square of comfort on difficult days. Coffee that woke people gently into their mornings. Water that refreshed. Soups that warmed. All of it descended, in its own winding way, from that one small laboratory. From that one careful man. From that one cold morning by that one still lake when he sat down with his notes and his patience and his question. Can I help? It is a quiet question. It does not ask for recognition. It does not demand an audience. It just leans forward, opens its hands, and waits to see what is needed. That kind of question, when it is genuine, has a way of finding its answer. It has always had a way of finding its answer. Let your whole body go now. Every part of you that has been holding on even slightly. Your jaw. Let it go soft. Your forehead. Let it smooth out. Your chest. Let it rise and fall without any effort from you at all. The breath knows what to do. It has always known. Just let it do its work. You have done enough today. Whatever you did today, however it went, you showed up. And that is the whole of the work sometimes. Just showing up. Just being present. Just trying. Henri Nestle understood that. He showed up to his small laboratory every morning. Not because he knew it would lead somewhere extraordinary, but because the work mattered. And the mattering was enough. Let that thought be the last one you carry into sleep tonight. The matching is enough. You matter. Your quiet, unhurried, everyday effort matters. Even when no one is watching. Even when the results are slow to come. Even when you cannot quite see where it is all leading. It is leading somewhere. It always is. Sleep now. Let the lake be still. Let the mountain stand. Let the night do what it always does. Hold everything gently until morning. Grandpa is right here. Right here. Good night. Sleep well. Sleep well.